So by the title of this video, you might be thinking, what is she talking about? Gretchen just reads teen books. Gretchen doesn't really read widely. She has so many videos talking about how she's like, I don't want to read all this stuff, blah, 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 blah. Well, friends, I have news. And it's very confusing news. And it's that I literally can't tell you the last teen book I read. Legitimately, just can't. I'm selling in teen and I'm looking at all the new releases and I'm like, I've read none of these. I've read none of these for months. Months and months and months and months and months. And if I looked back at my Goodreads, I could tell you what the last teen book I read was, and I bet it isn't quite as long as I think it's been, but actually, lately I've been reading one of two things, or both of these things combined, and that's audiobooks and nonfiction. This is so weird for me because I hadn't read an audiobook until, the middle of last year, whenever it was Michaela and I did The Art of Asking, and I did a video discussing my reaction to my first audiobook, which I'll link up above. But that's new. And I always thought that nonfiction was the most boring thing on the planet. I would look at nonfiction books and be like, why does anyone care about this factoid? This is so dry, it's so boring. Let's do more teen fantasy adventure. No, not what I've been reading at all. And I don't know why, honestly. And I kind of wanted to make this video to talk about some of the reasons why I think this might be happening and what I've been reading lately. Because, let's be honest. I'm not going to sit here and start doing a bunch of nonfiction reviews for you guys because y'all would just leave. You have Michaela to be interesting, but I fully admit that some of the nonfiction that I read, I can just have read and moved on with my life. Or it's things like Between the World and Me by Ta-Nehisi Coates, where how do you review something like that? It's so powerful. There's not much more I can say besides, please, I beg of you, read it. So lately, the nonfiction that I've been reading was 17 Carnations, a book about Edward, the King of England, who decided to not be king and paved the way for, the King's Speech. You've seen that movie, and Queen Elizabeth, our current Queen of England, and how he was a huge Nazi supporter and the huge cover-up there, which I had never heard about because a lot of people tend to focus on Edward and Wallis Simpson. So that was really interesting, and I read that on audiobook. I recently just finished what is considered the definitive biography on Catherine the Great of Russia by Robert K. Massey, and if I am prolific, that will be my review on Thursday, so I will actually be talking about that book in more detail. Right now I'm reading Scrappy Little Nobody by Anna Kendrick, and one of the next books on my docket to read is Talking as Fast as I Can by Lauren Graham. All of these are nonfiction. I do tend to read nonfiction that is about people, and I do prefer those to be audiobooks, and I think that that's because I get over the idea of somebody who thought that they were a big deal enough to write a book about their life. If they're telling the book to me like it's a story, that's what I loved about listening to Yes Please by Amy Poehler or Bossy Pants by Tina Fey. I was listening to them tell me stories about their life, and that made it a much more personal experience for me and made it much more likely for me to absorb the words in the books without going, oh my God, this person literally said, I'm important enough that people want to read a book about my life. Which is weird to me. I would never write a book about my life. I'm not a celebrity, but there are people who are not celebrities who write nonfiction, and personal essay was always really hard for me because I was like, I'm not important enough for people to care, So it's been weird for me that not only am I reading nonfiction, but I'm reading a lot of biography, especially a lot of autobiography. The Catherine the Great biography was the first one that I've read, not narrated by the person, not about their life, because obviously Catherine the Great has been dead for a while and she can't really do that in an audiobook. And I also think that I've been listening to a lot of audiobooks because I don't have the mental capacity to read. Like, I come home and my eyes just hurt. I just got new glasses. Adjusting to them was really hard because my prescription went way up, and so that's been a strain on my eyes. And like, also life is a strain on my eyes. Like, I just come home and all I want to do is sleep. So what I'll do is I'll go and I'll lay down and I'll play the audiobook, and then I'm reading, but I'm not having to have my eyes open. The reason that it's a lot of nonfiction is because I have tried to listen to fiction on audio, and thus far, with one exception, I have not been able to do it. And that one exception is Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss, which I am reading is an audiobook on like the basic speed, for the sheer purpose that I know that if I went to read the book of Name of the Wind, I would speed read, because that's what I do with high fantasy. But I love Name of the Wind enough that I am willing to take it at the slow pace, and the best way to slow that down is to listen to the audiobook. So with that exception, I have not been able to read a single fiction book on audio. It bothers me. There's something weird about the two books that I tried. The voice acting, it's not right to me. And I understand that there are some books where there's a lot of effort really put into the audiobook. Like, I've heard Maggie Stiefvater's books are really great on audio. But like, I don't know. The voice acting, the whole thing with that, it's weird to me, and I can't get into it. So when I go and I need an audiobook, it needs to be nonfiction. And right now, I actually am halfway through Scrappy Little Nobody, and I have that book, which is very interesting. But other than that, like, I've started and stopped reading so many books. Like the new Philippa Gregory book I started and couldn't finish. The new Veronica Roth book, Car with a Mark, I started and just kind of put down, and they have their own issues anyways. But like, I'm not into reading words on a page, so I'm listening to audiobooks. I can't listen to fiction audiobooks, so I'm listening to nonfiction. And it's just creating this weird identity crisis for me. Like, have I stopped liking teen books? Am I ever going to read a teen book ever again? And the answer is yes. I spend too much time in the teen department to not be like, I want to read that, and I want to read that, and I want to read that. But right now, with my mental capacity, just not having it. So I don't think that my reading tastes have changed completely. I just think that they're expanding. I'm learning to read more. I'm learning that I do enjoy more, that there are merits to certain other genres besides teen that have other things that I appreciate. I'm sure once I get back into like a reading binge, I will go back to reading a lot of teen, because that's what I love. The fast, the action, that kind of a thing. And audiobooks by their nature are slow, and especially nonfiction are slow. But yeah, it's been real weird so far to not have read a teen book in so long. So, side note, decided to look up the last teen book that I read on my Goodreads app, because that's what it's for. It was Three Dark Crowns by Kendar Blake on October 15th. I haven't read a teen book since October 15th. And before that was September 15th, I finished Arcana Rising. Wow. I hurt inside a little bit. I gotta go and see if I can read a teen book, because like, holy crap. But yeah, you guys let me know, have you ever gone through like phases with your reading? Have you ever noticed changes? Is there a genre that you used to read like only that and now you can't even read? Or, you know, is this just the nature of reading and what we want to read changes sometimes, but we always go back to what we love? Do tell me about your reading experience, and I will let you guys know when I get back to reading teen books, because I'm gonna like scream as a review, and I'm gonna be like, I did the thing, guys, I read the teen book, because now as I'm making this video, I'm realizing how much I miss it. So yeah, that's all for me right now. We'll see you guys soon. Bye.